was.
And then you have a machine in here that you're...
We do. We've got a state-of-the-art bit of equipment here, and it hasn't reached the rest of the world yet. We're still working on it, but it's basically a method where we can get a bit of drill core, run a machine over it, and it will give you some spectral, will tell you what sort of minerals are present. And the mineral industry has been taken by storm by this. This is really important breakthrough. So it's in a state of development, but it's basically putting out a lot of information very quickly. I don't know how many drill holes you looked at now, but it must be quite a few, I think.
Yeah, it's quite a few drill holes at this stage, just over 6,000 metres worth of core at this stage, and a fair bit left to go.
So what's taking place with this machine?
Yeah, what we're doing here is we're bombarding various rock types with known energy sources or energy of a known wavelength. We measure the wavelength of the energy that's reflected back to us, and from that we're able to identify what the mineralogy is that's contained within that rock type. And from that, hopefully we'll be able to identify new ore bodies or potential ore bodies.
And then all the information that you get from this machine goes into the computer and gets logged?
Yes, that's right, and goes on to a much larger database, which will be part of what we call the National Virtual Core Library, and the Geological Survey departments of every state in Australia will be providing information similar to the information we're providing, and that will all go to this database and can be accessed by anyone throughout the world so that they can potentially identify something we haven't identified.
Access to anybody throughout the world. So you could be sitting out there in your cabin in Montana on your computer, and you could be looking for that certain type of material that loads up right next to the big giant loads of gold, and you're looking for that area that's just right next to that big loads of gold, and all of a sudden you come across some of this stuff that you've cataloged here, and you think, oh, about 10 miles to the left, that's where the mother lode is, and it's sitting right there, and you can figure that out from your little cabin in Montana, and you can come here to Tasmania and strike it rich.
That's it. That's what it's all about. So progress that way.
That is high tech. That is like new cutting edge prospecting right there. You guys are like astronauts in the dirt, you know?
Yes, we hope it's going to help people like you.
Let's take a look at the HyLogger-3.
Okay, enough with the astronaut stuff, Jake. Time to take a little tour of the HyLogger, and Jake here will take you through that, and I'll do the filming.
So we're just going to have a quick look at the HyLogger-3 instrument and describe its functions and have a look at the drill core tray scanning. So the HyLogger-3 instrument was designed by CSIRO, and it's a hyperspectral drill core scanning instrument that measures in the shortwave infrared, the visible near infrared, and the thermal infrared. So the spectrometers for the HyLogger-3 are located under here, above the XY table. So we've got a high resolution camera with lighting underneath here, and that takes a continuous downhole image of the core. We've got a spectrometer here that measures in the visible near infrared and the shortwave infrared. We've got a little blue box here that's a profilometer, and it measures the height of the drill core downhole. And then we've got a thermal infrared spectrometer here with the two heat lamps. Underneath the spectrometers is the XY table that the drill core tray travels underneath the spectrometers to measure spectra downhole. So we take a measurement every 4 millimeters down the core, so we get thousands and thousands of spectra to look at in a drill hole. So we'll just run a tray and have a look at how the HyLogger scans drill core, and then we can explain a bit more. So before each tray is scanned, the HyLogger takes calibration measurements on the calibration block. So it's referencing the same material before each tray. So this is a camera getting an image of its white Teflon. This is the SWIR getting an albedo measurement here. This is the thermal infrared getting a background room temperature measurement to correct for. This is the thermal infrared getting a gold reference. And now now we'll start on the core. So as we can see here by the little laser, the core is being measured down the centre of the tray, roughly, and we're taking a measurement every 4 millimetres. So we're collecting spectra as we go, and we'll do the 3 sections of this tray. So the tray, the XY table then moves across to the next section, and we'll start collecting spectra on the next stick of core. So on the screen here, this is the HyLogger engineering program, and what we can see here is live spectra over the drill core. It's just gone off screen there, but when it comes back on, we'll see what the spectra actually looks like. So through this range here, from about 400 to 1,000 nanometers, we've got the visible near infrared, and then from 1,000 up to 2,500, we've got the shortwave infrared, and we can see there's absorption features that are being collected over the core, and these are diagnostic of different minerals. On this side here, we've got the thermal infrared, and we've got sort of peaks here that are different shapes, and those are diagnostic of different minerals. The tray's just finished its last section here, so now it'll return to its unload position where we can pull the tray off and get the next one ready. The data collected from that tray is now being imported into TSG, which is the Spectral Geologist software, is where we interpret spectral data. And the spectra that we measured is being matched against the spectral reference library of known minerals, and we then can compare what we measured with what we know is in the reference library. So it just takes about 2 minutes, or maybe a minute, 2 minutes, to import the data depending on how much was measured, and then we can look at to see if the quality control is okay and make sure that the tray was scanned correctly. So here we can see the tray that was scanned just now, and we can see for the diagnostics it's all good, so there's been no issues with scanning that tray. We can see a nice image of the drill core that we just scanned, very high resolution, and then we can see 3 little coloured plots below the drill core that tell us information about the tray. So this is the diagnostic QA/QC. The second one in yellow here is the mineral identified by the shortwave infrared, Mineral 1 system TSAS, and the yellow is a white mica. And then below that we've just got the error associated with that identification. So we can see that this core is full of white mica throughout the whole tray. We've also got the log screen here that we can see downhole mineral identification for the core. So we've got Mineral 1, so the most abundant mineral in the shortwave infrared, being identified as phengite. Mineral 2, the second most abundant mineral, as different variations of chlorite, mostly FeMg, a little bit of Fe, and then just no minerals for the third mineral. So it's the minerals above 15% are mostly phengite and chlorite. For the thermal infrared, we've got most abundant as quartz. We've also got muscovite being identified in the thermal infrared, that's also confirmed by the shortwave infrared as a white mica at the group level, and then also a bit of chlorite floating around in the thermal infrared. We can also see a summary screen of that tray, so we can see the variations downhole in white mica and chlorite, and then we can see as a histogram how much abundance of each mineral is being identified. We can also plot that up similarly for the thermal infrared, so we can see the variations in quartz and white mica down the hole. We've also got scatter plots that we can look at in TSG, which show different things. Different minerals can be looked at in detail, different scatter plots and histograms and things like that. And then back to the tray screen, so once we know that the tray's been scanned correctly and everything's okay, we can then continue scanning the drill hole.
So do you have to prepare the core at all for this?
Yeah, so before we scan each core, we have to make sure that the core's dry. We can't scan any core that's wet because it will interfere in the shortwave infrared where there's water features. We have to make sure there's no dust on the drill core, so each bit of core gets vacuumed to collect all the dust, so it's nice, dry and dust free. We also try to align the core so that it's in a good state and we've got a good good surface to scan and it makes sense. Make sure the depth blocks are making sense and the trays are in good order. So that sort of thing.
How long does it take to scan a drill hole, Jake?
Depending on the hole, so we can do sort of up to 200 metres, maybe 300 metres per day, depending on the sections of the tray. So, say for a kilometre hole, it might take a week, 5 business days, and then there's further work for the processing. So, and then short holes we might do in a day. Short 200 metre hole we can sort of knock over pretty quickly.
And how many holes has MRT done so far?
MRT's done. I know we've done 127,000 metres and 450 drill holes. So. A fair bit, yeah. There's other states that sort of throw a lot more resources at these sorts of projects, and other states will throw less resources. So depending on that, it's how many holes.
And have you done much in the way of not drill holes, but samples for students and redacted drill core?
Yeah, often we'll do a lot of samples for honours projects or for fieldwork projects, where we'll just get samples and we'll either lay them out in a drill core tray or on a plywood board, and we can scan samples and then interpret individual samples. So a lot of that, or redacted drill holes where you've got little intervals of a drill hole down hole. You can still see some variations in redacted drill core that's not continuous. So there's a lot of information to be found from redacted drill holes, samples, as well as RC chips. We can do RC chips, as any rock type or form that it comes in.
And it really does all go into a national database where you can find ore deposits from your cabin in Montana?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we can look at it on a portal called the AusScope portal. So all the data that we scan in the core library is freely accessible on the AusScope core library for the public to just go on and download. If you're in Montana, or if you're an exploration geologist looking for a certain type of deposit, you can download that data and look at it, interpret it, and see how it helps you with your particular project.
Thanks, Jake, for that introduction to the HyLogger. I guess we'll let you get back to work now.
No worries, thank you.